Hello and welcome to The Tech Boy, This Week in Tech podcast.
Hello, everybody, and
Hello,
welcome
and
to
welcome
This Week
to
in
The Tech Boy,
the Tech
This
Boy
Week.
podcast. Hopefully, you guys are having a great week. I got to test out the Galaxy Z Fold and Flip today. Went hands-on with them, so we're going to go over that. And also, like I promised, we were going to go over Mr. Who's the Boss's sad worldview. And so let's get into that. So, and then speaking of Mr. Who's the Boss, I tested the claims he made about the Z Flip and Fold, and I'm going to see if they're true or not. And also, in other news on things that we've done across the internet and interwebs, apparently kids don't know what the national anthem is, which is really sad. So make sure you go check that out as well. Oh, also lots of SSA LTW updates coming through. So hopefully you get to see what they are. And I'm just transferring the photos and videos over to the computer. But without further ado, oh wow, he's only 55,000 subscribers away from. Wow, we already got a comment. Hello, LJ. Nice to see you in here again. If you want to come on, you can just text me. And so here's our Mr. Who's the Boss video. Without further ado, we're going to be looking at these from a Christian perspective. This is the drone video of his from his wedding. Here it is, 500 drones. I'm not going to watch the whole thing because I think it's like 15 minutes.
Design a training program.
Guys, let's do. Here's the video. And here's some commentary here. The technology behind those drones is very impressive, in my opinion.
I talk for a living. You guys probably know that. This is going to be the toughest speech that I have ever done in my life. I'm probably going to cry, and you've seen me cry a lot of times already, so that's probably no surprise. I used to find the idea of fate impossible to believe.
Which, from a Christian perspective, I don't believe. Oh, hello, Robert Kester. I don't believe in fate. I believe in God and God's providence and things of that nature.
Insist to people, life is like a deck of cards being shuffled and dealt in no particular order. But as I stand in front of you today, and in front of the most beautiful woman I have seen in my life, here's why I think I was wrong. I think it's really easy to feel lost. I think we all feel lost at points, both on a personal level. You know, my career isn't going anywhere. My friends don't really like me. I'll never find a partner. But also on a bigger
And yes, from a Christian perspective, that can make sense. Sometimes people do feel lost and depressed some of the time. And wow, we already got 4 viewers on the podcast. So thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Scale. I mean, just look up. There are 200 billion trillion stars up there. And when you look at just one star, it's so far away that the light from it takes 100,000 years to get to you. You're looking at something that happened 100,000 years ago.
Which, no, obviously the Earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old, and the light from the star, when they were created, just instantly got there, and then it now the light is now 100,000 light years away. So that's how that works. Like new stars that are created through supernovas and stuff like that.
So where on earth do we fit into this vast picture? We're made of stardust. Oh, no, but seriously, like virtually every element inside of us was formed in the stars.
it depends on what he's trying to say with that. Yes, we're made out of dust, and I suppose that there could be dust and stars. So sure, we'll take that.
We borrow it for a bit of time, we live our lives, we laugh, we cry, and then we return that stardust back to the universe.
Okay, but it doesn't really go into the sky unless, of course, you shoot yourself into the sky purposefully. It just goes into the dirt.
So surely, everything that ever happens in our lives, it's all temporary. No one's going to care in 100 years.
That's true, which is why we have been created, to honor and respect and worship God, and to, glorify Him. Oh my gosh, I have to go.
No one's going to remember in 500 years. Everything we will ever achieve will live and die on this one tiny rock floating in the middle of an indifferent nothingness. Surely, if the end destination of life is death, and that's the only thing that we can say with certainty.
Which isn't true, right? There is an eternity, there's a heaven and a hell. And that's where his worldview is messed up. There's no, death is not the final solution to life.
Then life itself is meaningless. This is something I used
Which, since he believes this, now he has to come up with a way that life is important or not meaningless to him. So here's how he's going to come up with that.
think about a lot before meeting Drisha. I would look at life through this hyperlogical, hypercritical lens and would continue to come to the conclusion that when you ask enough questions, no one has the answers, and eventually that there are no answers. There is no point. A lot of my ways of thinking stemmed from very early on. Like at school, for example, people would act like I wasn't part of the conversation that I was standing in. People would run up to me in the corridors, shout ugly in my ear, and then disappear before I could turn around.
And that's really,
people told me I'd be
really sad. But if there is no God, and if there's no reason for life, and there's nothing that they're trying to do, right? There's no reason to right. There's no reason for morality. And morality doesn't exist because due to his worldview, he doesn't believe in it, because just like who decides what morality is, then he doesn't, then people running up and shouting ugly, pretending he doesn't exist, doesn't really matter. It's not really wrong because right and wrong don't exist given the worldview that he's espousing. Now let's see what the comments say. My biggest fear is death. Well, with Jesus Christ, if you accept him as your Lord and Savior, you will become saved and you'll get to go to heaven when you die.
single forever. I felt invisible. Like I could be standing there in a room full of people and they could just walk right through me. So to try and escape that feeling, I'd keep my head down. I'd avoid eye contact. I used to walk around like this all the time because that hurt less.
I guess this is where he also gets, from a tech perspective, his love of gaming, because he, it's something that you can do one-on-one. Like in his videos, he's always going, excuse me, on and on about how much he liked the PS Vita, I think Vita handheld, and the Nintendo Game Boys that were coming out, and the DSs in 2004 and 2006. And I can see why, because he, was isolated in school.
But then I found YouTube, actually. Not Drisha, she's coming, I promise. I made some videos online. People liked them, so I kept making those videos, and it felt like I blinked, and suddenly I was popular. People had gone from wanting nothing to do with me to being in wonder, praising me. People were like, I knew you could do it from the beginning. Congratulations, I had my money on you from the start. And you would think that would be the cure to that deeply ingrained need for a purpose, that feeling of not being good enough for the outside world. It certainly felt like it at the time. But it actually made it worse. The simple fact that people found me so much more impressive on paper or over the internet when they were far away from me than when I let them get close meant that I decided to keep it that way. I created this outer shell for myself, this false, perfect person persona that I become based on what I thought people wanted me to be.
Which, makes sense. And he doesn't really have much to live for, and he doesn't really have any, major goal intact because he doesn't believe in an afterlife or a religion or anything like that. which I believe to be Christianity.
I adopt other people's ways of thinking. I did everything I could to get every single person to like me, and I'd never get too close. I'd always keep some distance so they didn't know me so well they'd realize I was the same old, boring, nerdy, lanky kid that it had been made pretty clear to me that no one liked. For those of you who knew me when I was younger, you'll know that I used to love being home. When I was really young, I'd cross my arms angrily, and I'd tell people they were stupid for not letting me go home.
That's kind of funny, honestly.
And when I got older, I did the same thing. I just did it internally. And it's not because we had a TV or toys or a garden to play in. Home was the only place where I didn't feel the need to hide who I was. This little sanctuary, free from the judgment and expectation that I tried to shelter myself from. Now, I could well have lived my entire life like this, a silent, lone particle, drifting within this enormous universe, working, laughing, crying, ultimately, without reason.
And that's how sad this worldview is from the Christian viewpoint. You know, we were created to honor and respect and worship God and to witness to others, to tell them about Jesus' love. And that's, you know, what's going to last in 500 years, right? No one's going to care about what the Vivo phones were, or the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra was back in 2072, right? Not 20, or even in 2720. No one's really going to care. But what people are going to care about is if you either made it to heaven or to hell.
But then I saw you, Trisha, standing on the other side of that busy London street, looking right back at me, wearing the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen in my life.
Empower your students at every stage of the writing process with Grammarly's generative AI.
She was holding back a laugh, watching me wheeling along this massive suitcase behind me, a tradition whenever I'd come to London, hanging in.
And this was about 3 years ago, so he was already an established, you know, tech YouTuber, blogging, everything like that. Hello, Sharkfin Tech, and LJB says hello. So, yeah, you guys have some fun in the chat.
Into things, looking like I was about to move in before I'd even met her. I locked eyes with her, I laughed back, and the rest was history.
Too bad they didn't get this on a clip for YouTube. That would have been really nice because, you know, he was probably there to film something or some tech event. That's what the suitcase was for. This was only a few years ago. So, I mean, honestly, he could have he could have been filming something.
The first time I met Drisha, I booked 3 different bars. I've been on enough dates at this point to know that changing locations about once per hour is a good way to keep things interesting.
Interesting. Of course, we're not going to test that out. But, you know, if anyone else wants to test it out and report back, please tell me.
We didn't leave the first one.
Also interesting that I wonder if that's a US thing, or I mean, sorry, not US thing, an England thing, where going to 3 bars on a first date is normal. Maybe in the United States they do Starbucks. What do kids do? Well, what do kids do? It's mostly at school. Honestly, what do kids do? Okay, that's gonna be a segment coming up on the show. Kids of the chat. Where do you people go take people when you go to date? You don't know that? Oh, okay. So the official chat Brit says he doesn't know. 2 out of 3 of the people in the chat are teenagers. So tell me, if you've ever been on a date, where do you take the other people? What is that? Facepalm? Okay. Let's go.
I never, ever wanted to leave the first one.
Which is also interesting because in his engagement video, his high-tech engagement video, really, really good video, very fun, very interesting, good usage of tech in it. He does say that the first thing that he does to take on the date is a bar. Like in his escape room, it's actually a bar. So
we sat in the very corner of the bar, me trying to see macho by ordering a strong whiskey-based Mandarin, but secretly wishing I could have just had what she was having. Drisha proceeded to absolutely slaughter me at the foosball table.
I'm pretty good at foosball. It's fun. Hey, I went to the Galleria today. We're gonna be talking about that because I went to the Samsung store. You go to a steakhouse, so very expensive. Very, very expensive. But I've been to the Galleria before. It's very fun, especially the Samsung store. So we're going to get into that after we finish talking about and discussing the worldview claims in this video.
At which point I decided to just drop the act and order the fruity pink cocktail. And then they had this little bowl of popcorn at the table, presumably as a snack in case you got hungry. Not to Trisha. After a couple of hours of having drinks, I decided, I gotta go to the bathroom. And this is the point where every girl I've been on a date with so far, every single girl does the same thing. They pull out their mirror, they made sure their makeup looked good,
Okay, I don't know if there are any girls in the chat, and we'll get to your chat messages soon. But do you guys carry around mirrors in your pocket? This will get clipped and posted to Instagram, where there are presumably more girls, and you can answer in the comments. But do these kids carry mirrors around in their pockets? All right, let's see what the chat is saying. I would do an activity like mini golf or going to the beach, an activity you can't just have fun just for going out to dinner, LOL. But yeah, do a A-B activity, then dinner, then do whatever after. Okay, so an activity and dinner. Great advice for the people watching. It's the small things that matter, showing that you at least care. True.
increase their clothing. Do you know what I walked back into Trisha doing? Seeing how high she could throw that popcorn and catch it in her mouth without bounces.
Okay, I wish he got a video of that. That would have been funny. Like, she's okay.
Yeah, my kind of woman. And when I finally had to say bye to her that night and I watched her walk away from me, I turned around, I cursed, and I did the weirdest thing that I've never done before. Right there in that moment, I took out my phone and I took a photo. It's a photo of an empty street. It doesn't have me in it. It doesn't have her in it. I took that photo because I wanted to remember that moment.
I wonder what kind of phone he had when he took his photo. I wonder what kind of phone that was. Might have been the S20 Ultra, maybe.
Electrifying feeling, almost like the universe itself had crept up behind me to whisper in my ear.
And obviously, that's not true. The universe does not whisper.
You're welcome. Do you want to know why? It's because she saw me too. Trisha could see me clearer than anyone had ever seen me before, the real me. She refused to watch anything I put online for the simple fact that she wanted to know me for me and not what I did or who I presented myself as.
Interesting. That's an interesting take. I wonder if she watches now. Well, she works for them now, but I wonder if she like actually watches now.
That or she just didn't like my videos.
Which I hope not, because his videos are amazing. Apart from the bad worldview in this video, his videos are actually well put together, really well edited. I mean, this is actually an example of what he would consider bad editing, because he has really good editing in his flashing and his animation. It's really upbeat. Like, I like to watch these just for fun, because obviously I'm not buying any of the stuff that he's selling, or not selling, but reviewing, because it's expensive and some of it doesn't even come to the United States.
Could read me like a book. We'd say the exact same thing at the exact same time, in the exact same tone. So often we decided we should just take turns when speaking to people.
Interesting. I wonder what that is. Like, scientifically, psychologically, it's not obviously not spirits or something like that.
And we had so much fun together. When we first met, I thought, wow, she loves everything I love. This is amazing. I wasn't.
Well, except for Android. She has an iPhone. Yes, this is Mr. Who's the Boss.
Coincidence. It took me much longer to realize that the reason we love the same things is because Trisha is relentlessly curious. She is at every opportunity to take in the things I take interest in.
That makes sense. Because it's completely unlikely, even in a small, comparison country like England, to find someone who thinks exactly the same way as you without them, doing a little bit of research beforehand.
But most importantly of all, she made me feel so down.
Oh, we're gonna have to cut that. Okay.
Head is weirdly shaped. You look like a cartoon character, not a good one. That pushed me
His head does not look weirdly shaped to me. Looks fine to me.
to create this spiky hairstyle that completely masked the shape of my head. And from the moment I did that and the comments stopped, I decided I wouldn't dare reveal my true identity to anyone anymore. Anytime a friend suggested we go swimming or out in the rain where my hair would get ruined, for years I would panic. I'd find a way to avoid it. And it took me a very long time to show Drisha what I looked like without the hair, because some part of my brain was terrified that any sane girl would leave me in that moment. But when I did, Drisha stared right back at me with the exact same attraction and admiration that she always had. I was so confused how anyone could like the way I looked without 3 gallons of gel in my hair. I wanted to run and hide myself. 5 seconds is plenty. But she told me no, Aaron, right here, right now, in this moment.
And the sad thing about this is it's great. It's really great that his wife loves him and that he loves her. That's a great thing. And marriage, has been ordained by God. But he needs to have Jesus' love covering him and loving him and knowing that he's approved. His self-worth shouldn't be tied to his YouTube channel, which it isn't anymore, or his wife or girlfriend at the time. It should be tied to knowing that he is created in God's image and is loved by God. Even if everyone else were to stop loving him, even if he were to lose all his subscribers, he still has inherent worth and dignity.
Like this, you look beautiful.
No matter what his hair looks like.
I could slowly feel all those burdens I've been carrying becoming bridges, and my insecurities melting away. The things I spent my entire...
Oh, wait, we got some more questions here. How big is my delay? I don't know. Can you guys hear well? Why did I skip? Bro needs God. Yep. Oh, it was just a little part bleeping out a bad word.
I like hiding from the world. She showed me how to be proud of them. She made me realize that trying to be this flawless version of myself all the time to serve other people was not just exhausting, but it would never, ever allow me to be happy.
Which is true. That is true. What's it called? That is a story, a theme discussed in Adventures in Odyssey.
I'm not perfect, but that's what makes me perfect for her. She told me to embody that, to wear that mantra like a badge, to shout it from the rooftops. Here I am. And with this unconditional acceptance, by embracing me the exact same through both the good and the bad, Drisha opened me up to love. She allowed me to both love and be loved more than I ever dreamed of being able to. And so it's probably not surprising that it only took 8 dates before I knew I wanted to marry this girl. We weren't even boyfriend or girlfriend at this point, but I distinctly remember this moment.
I wonder if that's normal. Of course, none of the kids in the chat, are married, hopefully. But I presume that they've gone on more than 8 dates, and obviously they're not married. So I wonder how true that is.
I was reading a book on my bed. There was a funny moment, like laugh out loud funny. So I turned around to see her, and I realized she wasn't there. And it was the weirdest feeling, because my entire life, if you'd asked me where I wanted to be, I would tell you one thing and one thing only. I want to go home. Except this moment, I realized that
It's kind of funny, because in the SSALTW series, I'm always, at school, because, it's like, well, I stay on the wall, or I'm on podcasts. Like, there's not much SSALTW experience to be, held there. So the backdrop is school. It's, just more exciting in real life and in literary form.
My answer had changed. I want to be wherever she is.
8 dates.
If you've ever observed Drisha and I in our natural habitat, we don't let go of each other.
I wonder what the natural habitat is. Maybe it's like a bar or something?
Unless there's simply no way around it, we don't leave the 2-meter vicinity within the other person.
For our American viewers, 2 meters is 39 times 2 inches, or about 6 yards.
We've been told multiple times we're unbearable. That's actually just today. But you don't want to know why. It's because fundamentally, Drisha, you are my home. You've made me realize home isn't 4 walls and a ceiling. Home is a feeling. And in your arms,
good rhyming right there.
In your eyes, in your hands, I feel home. And that's what love is to me. Love
it's
is knowing
500
that you found
drones
your home, your
flying,
safe place.
and creating these animations. Sometimes in the United States, we use these for 4th of July celebrations instead of fireworks, because it's safer, and there's not so much smoke, and it's quieter. But of course, I think it's a bit more expensive.
It's your sanctuary and that peaceful reassurance of knowing that you will be home till your final days. Every evening before we go to sleep, Drisha and I do a gratitude and goals list. 5 things you're grateful for that day and 5 things you want to achieve.
That's pretty unique. I mean, it's very easy to find 5 things that you're grateful for, but 5 things that you want to achieve? I mean, every day, that is almost over 1,500 achievements a year. And if you were to achieve those, granted that they change, that would be very impressive to achieve almost 2,000 achievements.
And every night, you know what she says she's grateful for? She says me. I'm at the top of that list every single time.
That's great. That's great.
And you know what her top goal is, even after everything she already does for me? She says, to be better than me. That's the type of woman Drisha is. The moment I proposed, I've watched that clip like 200 times at this point, mostly because the second I got down on one knee, the second I submitted myself to her for the rest of my life, her gut reaction, the first thing she did, without even thinking, was not to gasp or go for the ring. She dropped down to her knees with me and hugged me. That is the type of woman that Drisha is.
And that's great. You can go see that clip on YouTube, actually, in that video that we were talking about. It was captured, I think, by his videographers and in high-tech night vision cameras.
Now, here's what really gets me about it, though. If you think about it, the chance of you having met the life partner sitting next to you is basically 0.
I wouldn't really say that. What's the population of... what's the population of England? Okay, he's in England, right? We're not going to count all the UK because he didn't go to Scotland or anything like that. It's about 56 million people per 2018 estimate, right? And how many population of England women? It was about 28 million. So it's about 51% of the country's population. So it's a pretty even scenario. And then, of course, you have to splice down to the people who are already married, splice down to the people who are in your age segment. And you have, just a few million people there. And he went to London, which is a very popular city, right? He's just walking down the street. I mean, the statistics work out such that it would be possible for him to meet him. I wouldn't say that the statistical chance is net 0. And LJB says he has submitted himself to God and said yes, because a great marriage first has to start with God and defining your values with God. Go listen to a Focus on the Family broadcast for more expertise on that.
It shouldn't have happened.
Okay, I've heard
you
so
had to
many
be
of them.
in the exact right place at the exact right time. Your parents had to be in the exact right place at the exact right time. In fact, every single generation before you had to have done exactly what they did for you two to have met.
Maybe, but of course, if you did something different, then you still might have met each other, okay?
The chance is so close to 0 that betting against it would be the easiest money you've ever made.
Doubtful, seeing as the amount of people who have gotten married. And the concept of, what's it called? Soulmates is, I wouldn't say it's real, okay? Like 5 minutes ago, he said that Drisha was curious. So she was molding herself to become more like Aaron, Mr. the Boss, right? Drisha, when she was just, walking a year ago before she ever met Aaron, was not exactly like Aaron. She was a little bit different, right? Aaron changed because of Drisha, and Drisha changed because of Aaron, right? So they just, when they decided to get married and on their dates, they each became a little bit more like each other. They weren't intrinsically coded by the universe to become soulmates, which it is why, like, yeah.
So the way that I take that is, either I am the luckiest man in the world for bumping into this angel, either every single star had to align in my favor, or...
Which obviously it isn't. Christians would say that's God's divine providence, which is true. But it's not stars aligning or the universe aligning with each other. Okay, and also it's simple statistics and just her character caused to be like that.
Or it was going to happen We were meant to find each other.
Which, I mean, Ali Stuckey might actually agree with that. She's Calvinist, I presume, so she believes that everything is ordained and elect or something like that. You can go ask her about that. But of course, from either her perspective or other Christians' perspective, it's either God ordained, but it's not the stars or universe. I can tell you that.
Each other. Two people born and brought up over 100 miles apart, but so unbelievably designed for each other. That's
Which
what I choose
you
to
could
believe.
say designed by who? Aaron might say that it's because of just society or his family or just the way that it was. They each grew up in similar environments or something like that, or different environments that caused them to become like each other. I feel the opposites attract. But I wouldn't say that. I really wouldn't say that. Okay. I'd say that they were designed by God for each other. And I pray that Mr. Boss and Dresser, if they're not already, become Christian and accept Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior.
Now that I see what my life is like with you, Risha, I refuse to believe that my life could have been without you. So, standing here today, underneath this vast, vast cosmos, surrounded by all the people we love, Risha, I want to thank you, because now when I look at the same sky
Those are really interesting animations. Right
every single night, I don't see endless, uncaring emptiness. I see peace. You show me the stars where I previously saw the void. Meeting you, Drisha, always be my greatest achievement. Meeting you, Drisha, has given me the conviction that the universe had a plan for us all along.
And if he just switched the universe with God, the divine, the almighty, he would be right. But right now, he's wrong.
And whether or not it was written in the stars and we were destined to meet, that as long as we are together, everything is as it's meant to be. And that the same fate that brought us together, that allowed me to find my home and you to find yours, that fate will also guide us forward. I truly believe that.
And of course, there is no such thing as fate.
When you probe hard enough into our existence, when you try and use cold, hard logic to calculate the purpose of our lives and the true reasons why we do things, none of it makes any sense. And that was me for my entire life. But you, Drisha, you have made me realize that while the end point of life may be empty,
which it isn't. The end point of life is either two things, heaven or hell. Hopefully, you want to go to heaven by accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Every flicker eventually does go out. That doesn't make the purpose meaningless. The purpose of life is love.
Kind of. Like I said, and I'll say it again, the purpose of life is to love and worship God, right? It's not to love and worship other people, right? Humans were created to worship. If they don't worship God, they'll worship anything else.
Nothing cures like love. Nothing protects like love. Nothing endures like love. And so,
I mean, he's right. You go read 1 Corinthians 13, just not completely right.
Can the objective be but to give and receive as much love as you possibly can in the time that you have, to not try and change the universe, but to see it as your canvas, to paint your love story across? Mark Twain once said, "The two most important moments are when you were born and when you found out why." And now that I found out why, my life is so simple.
All right, and that's all that we're going to do for now. Let's read what the comments are, and then we're going to get into some more tech commentary. LJB says there is such a thing as fate. The Bible says, he said fate, not faith. Yeah, the Bible does say walk by faith. There is such a thing as faith, not fate. Fate is different than faith. All right, now let's get into our tech commentary. So I did go see the Galaxy Z Fold 6 and the Flip 6, and I actually installed the Good Lock module on device. So on the device, sorry, that was the wrong video. But first, let's get to the Galaxy Z Fold. Mr. DeVos said that you couldn't flip the camera around without opening the phone first, and actually showed that you can do that from the cover display. So a selfie with the front camera. I wish I could pause that. Yeah, so hopefully you guys got to see that video on the screen. Also, the Galaxy Z, I don't know what this is. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I know we also have some other clips here that I have to share on the screen. So we have some pictures. Oh yes, so I was able to install the correct Good Lock application to get full screen working on the Galaxy Z Flip. So hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. Let me pull up my files application. All right, here we go. So hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. And I have something to say about the CloudStrike thing next. So stay tuned for that. All right, so a video should be. A video should be appearing on the screen. Oh, wait, we have an alert coming. Oh, we got some comments. You skipped one of my questions. Oh, what was your question? Sorry. Are we going to finish the video from the last time? What was the video? I think we might be able to get it if you send it over again. So hopefully you can see this on the screen. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Notes application. I'm going to share. Let's make this big. Okay. Share screen. Here we are. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Notes application. And I was testing out the drawing app. So you're able to draw stuff into photos. So next photo. So I drew this stick figure in. As you can see, it is grayed out when it is generating with artistic flair. This is on the One UI 6.6.1 update. Oh, also, guys, as soon as you can, update your phone. Oh, okay, you should be able to see it now, LJ. As soon as you guys can, update your Samsung phones, any Android phone, to One UI 6.1.1, One UI, the August 7 security patch, because it is very crucial. It patches a very important vulnerability that was able to get privilege escalation into Android. So even with the password, I think it was able to get hacked into using outdated software. So please update your software, because that exploit should be up on exploit DB. And even though I don't know how to use it yet, people do know how to use exploit DB, and they will target your Android phone. All right. Anyway, that's just a thing. Unfortunately, with that update, One UI 6.1 did not come. 6.1.1 did not come out yet. So these features that you see here are still Z Fold 6 and Flip 6 exclusives. Okay, I'll install those extensions later. All right, so this is comparison the Galaxy. Like I criticized the Galaxy Z Flip and the camera because it does not have a telephoto. So this is 3x zoom on the Flip, I believe. Yeah, so I had to take that picture on the phone's Flip with my phone. As you can see here, when you zoom in, the area around here is kind of blurry compared to the optical 3x zoom of my phone. When you zoom in here, it is a little bit grainy, but it is more detailed. This is using the 3x optical zoom camera of my phone. Now, when we move over here, this is a front-facing picture taken with my phone, and I will say that on the Flip, the front-facing pictures were a lot better using the regular camera mode. I didn't use 50 megapixels, but just using the 12 megapixel camera mode. Now, here is the Galaxy Z Flip here. It is a bit blurred out, but I drew a stick figure into one of their test images here, just drawing your own image onto an image. That's a very interesting feature that they have on the series. And here it is. This actually looks real. It looks official. It does kind of look like a little bit 3D, but it's one of the options that they had. They had multiple options, and it does look neat and interesting. And I also like how they have this touchpad mode. Be very good for things like heads-up displays or things of that nature. And as you can see on the screen, this is the launcher widget. So you have to select all the applications here. Hopefully Samsung gets this fixed, either with a normal thing or just or just adding a select all button, because I had to go in and manually select all these applications. And because it was a store model, they only had a few applications, but it would be annoying if I had like 256 applications that I wanted to use on my front screen, and they didn't have a select all button. All right, now I'm going over to the next picture. This is what the app thing looked like in practice. You get about 12 applications on a grid, and this is what Chrome looks like. All right, so this is me going to my own website. This is probably the first time the cover screen has been used to access my website. Very interesting how they have this like folder like notch thing here. You got your home button and your arrow keys. You got the techboy.org. It's interesting. You only get to see one search result, of course. Like you have to keep scrolling. All right, now over to the next thing. Oh, that's the end for our images from the Galaxy Z Flip experience. All right, so now let's head over to the Fold. I have to install the extension to play these videos for you guys. So let's wait up. While that is happening, what do you guys think about the Galaxy Z Flip and Fold series of devices? Do you think they have enough updates? I do like that I was able to. You have to pay $1 for this extension from Microsoft? That's ridiculous. Anyway, nope, that's not happening. Okay, so this video will have to be played using something else. I don't know anyone would pay. Sorry. Oh yeah, I also went hands-on with the Galaxy Watch Ultra, which actually does not look as bad as it does in the pictures. It does not look exactly like the Apple Watch Ultra. It's actually more circular and rounded. Unfortunately, it is. What's the word? There's no physical bezel to it. Of course, we know that's because it's for the water resistance of the device, but it's still unfortunate. Too bad Samsung couldn't figure that out, and hopefully they can figure that out in the future. But here was a video of me going hands-on with the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Hopefully, you can see this on the screen. Let me just pull it up. What is it? Oh, there we go. Oh, VLC, come back. There you are. So this is the Galaxy Watch Ultra sideways, but still. Let's see if I can flip it. Here's the video. So as you can see, there is no touch. There is no physical bezel. Notice how my finger. I'm testing for the physical bezel, and you can see how it is. How it is circle, but the plastic is still rounded out, kind of like a squiggle around it. So maybe that's for more durability or pressure sensitivity. But here we go. Yeah, there's no physical bezel, but there is that digital bezel, the digital crown there, which is this blue line right there. All right, so, and then the different watch faces, and the thing I really like about Samsung watches is that their watch faces are really, really high quality. I know I talked about how the only offline apps in the Play Store yesterday were last podcast episodes were offline watch faces applications, but Samsung's watch faces are really high quality. They look like real watch faces, especially just from like 12 inches away from like where I was taping this video. If it didn't, have this interesting design or that like super bright orange strap, it looks a lot like a real physical, analog watch. And yeah, so that's the watch video right there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So now let's get to Mr. Mobile's review of the Galaxy Z Fold and Flip 6 series. So we're gonna pull that up, and also if you could send the video that you wanted me over. I will be talking about that. Unfortunately, Mr. Mobile will not be talking about the Galaxy Ring because he obviously has a conflict of interest in that due to having a Ring sponsorship. But of course, there are other companies that do that.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess.
All right, so here is our video. We're just gonna have to bypass the advertisement. Oh, not bypass it, but wait it out. All right, so let's cut audio back on.
Years of the flip phone revival were a
Let's look at all the flip phones, folding phones. I don't really like the term flip phone for them because they are full candy bar smartphones when they flip out. But they call them flip phones, so okay. Let's go.
wild ride.
And I mean,
Samsung went from 2 years of the flip phone revival were a
let's look at these phones here. We got the I think this is the 3 and 4. We got smaller screens here. We got like a really tiny screen right there. And Samsung, they try to market this as digital. What's the word for it? Limited, like counting your screen time and things of that nature. And I'm glad that they stopped that whole charade and went to full screen. It would be nice if they did what Motorola did and kind of like at least brought down the screen to the full edges. But it is nice that they have their own unique aesthetic and are differentiating themselves from other people.
a wild ride. Samsung went from charging nearly $1,400 for a
which was that's completely overpriced for something that literally looks like you unfold it, you like magic erase that thing, you get iPhone 7, iPhone 6. I mean, that is
a compromise in
Something
February
nice.
2020 to asking just $999 for a flippin' flagship in August 2021.
I wouldn't even call that a flagship. It's missing the third camera lens. Only Apple is allowed to get away with that. Hello, Rice. How are you? Only Apple was allowed to get away with having 2 cameras on a flagship phone, iPhone 15, 14, 13. You get what I mean? I mean, they haven't had a telephoto camera on their flagship since the iPhone, what was it? 10s, and then they swapped. They just went from, they did 11. They have the regular, the plus, and then the pro models. But now only the pro models have telephoto zoom cameras. That's not acceptable by Apple, and it's fine with me that they do that because less people buy Apple, well, hopefully. But kids these days don't care about optical zoom cameras and spying on people. What a shame. But as a fan, as a connoisseur, I'm going to buy a phone that has a good zoom camera. That's why Samsung put a zoom camera on there. I just got some comments on here. We got Fraginator in here. Hello, welcome to our channel. And after we get through this, we're going to talk about, speaking of spying, we got to talk about the SSA LTW series and our newest series that's coming out. I'm actually going to post our newest article without a picture, and then I'll upload the picture just so we can read through it today and actually go through some ChatGPT Gemini responses of what my article looks like. And then we got to talk about the cloud and what it is, because apparently some people, including the Vice President of the United States of America, don't know what the cloud is.
That price tag stuck around through Flip 4 and held fast even when the Flip 5 debuted with its oversized cover screen last summer. So it's kind of strange that Samsung chose this year to add a C note to the asking price, especially since there's not much to the Galaxy Flip 6 that seems to just.
Which now, if Samsung says that, all the AI features that are included with the Galaxy Z Flip are free, they won't change at all, then I'll be happy with the extra $100. I would be happy with that. It also could be, inflation, things of that nature.
Justify it. And for foldable freaks, it's frustrating to find all the same speed bumps that prevent that cover screen from living.
When I did go to the Samsung store, I did see the buds, but no buds in them. I just saw the case, so sad.
Up to its full potential. But the improvements Samsung has included directly address the concerns of a more important target market.
Durability?
Folks who want a flagship phone with a versatile camera that's easier to carry without sacrificing durability or power.
that's nice. And I would like to see, full power review. Of course, I couldn't do that in the store. They're all hooked up to, chargers.
The Flip 6 gets most of the way there. Not with the fun irreverence of Motorola or the honeymoon phase excitement of newcomer Xiaomi, but through little refinements driven by 5 generations of hard-won experience. I'm Mr. Foldable, Mr. Mobile, and I've spent 3 weeks with it.
Also, one thing I did notice on the app screen is that it did appear that the cover screen was at 60 hertz, locked to 60 hertz, and was running a pitch slower than the rest of the screen, which is fine when you're going horizontally, but vertically, you can kind of feel it.
If those refinements are worth that bonus Benjamin.
Also, turning around and doing like vlog style videos on the phone, really, really good, really, really interesting. And these videos will be up on, not the videos from the Flip, but the videos I took from my Ultra will be up on YouTube if you guys want to see what these devices look like and have to offer.
Durability continues to be the key category in which foldables fall behind their classic counterparts, so I'm glad to see Samsung put its focus there for Flip 6. The new hinge is even stiffer than on Flip 5, making it posable at almost any angle. Big win for those of us who like to take our calls slightly bananafied. Samsung says the new hinge also better distributes the shock of external impacts, something I confirmed when I had the bright idea to try to film a bike ride to the studio one morning. Pro tip, don't do this, because I dropped my review unit on the concrete.
How many review units does this guy kill? Like, come on.
At a good 10-mile-an-hour clip. Imagine my relief when, upon its return by a helpful jogger, I found only superficial damage.
I wonder if the jogger noticed them. They're like, hey, are you Mr. Mobile?
Including scratches to the armor aluminum's finish and a slightly out of true spine. Functionally, nothing was broken.
Tough little ship. Little.
Yeah, just like on Fold 6, those new speakers are great.
Those speakers actually do sound good. I've never, heard that clip. But
Samsung changed up the inside, too, increasing the display's maximum brightness to match the rest of its lineup, and making the glass a little less ultra-thin to give it better impact resistance, and beefing up the protective layer above that UTG with the same shear thickening fluid I talked about in my Fold 6 review. Now, these are improvements you can see and feel. For the first time in a few years, the crease really does appear smaller, on par with the competition.
It did feel a bit small, too.
And while I'm sure you could dent this screen protector with a fingernail, given enough force, the days of doing so accidentally in normal use finally seem like they're behind us.
Oh, that's great. It's real great.
And when I used it to time-lapse this absolutely wild storm blowing in across New York Harbor, the phone's IP48 rating rendered it unbothered by the resulting raindrops.
Interesting. It said that it's only IP48, but it makes sense due to its hinge.
Admittedly, I'm not sure how well the Gorilla Glass Victus 2 would have withstood any of that abuse naked, because my review unit has been shielded by the scratch protection of my sponsor, D-Brand. I really value AI features in this one.
All right, here we go. Let's go to
Back
AI.
in my Fold 6 review, I told you I might touch on more Galaxy AI features in this one, but perhaps predictably, they're just not proving all that useful.
Oh, man, I forgot to test out, the new cover screen effects. I have to go back.
I like the wallpaper that superimposes current weather conditions over a photo, when it decides to work, and the voice recorder that transcribes interviews or meetings.
It's really nice. Sometimes it gets the phone a bit hot. And one thing I have been noticing is that the top of the phone, the phones in the store, presumably because they're, plugged in on all the time. And even my phone, when it's doing, some hard work, actually gets a little bit hot. So if I know the heat processing is better in here than on my S22 Plus, even when I'm sitting outside, this phone still, works. Like just besides maybe that YouTube pop-up view won't, picture-in-picture mode might disable itself, but it doesn't get as hot. And the case might benefit that, or I don't know. But it doesn't. Samsung needs to work on that. Hopefully, the cooling can get better on the 25 and 7 series. Speaking of cooling, my S24 Ultra, the battery life is decent. I had it. Used it for 8 hours. About 5 hours of screen on time, GPS, taking pictures, all the stuff that you saw me doing, going to Samsung store and stuff like that. I had to get on there, ride the train and stuff. The the battery, it could be better. Like if I didn't have the battery case, it would have died in 9 hours, which isn't good. A 9 hour day with 5 hours screen on time isn't good. I need better battery life from Samsung. So the case is one of my best review products. It's a case and it provides extra battery to the phone. But Samsung, please step on the S25 and please send in a software update to make this better because the battery life on here is abysmal.
Even though it sometimes thinks I'm two separate people, despite being the only one speaking. Yeah, I feel like every one of these AI features is sort of half-baked. Outside of carefully curated demos, they mostly just don't deliver on all the hype that's teed them up. But Samsung's biggest missed opportunity is still out here, on the so-called Flex window. When Motorola showed off what was possible with an almost completely unlocked cover screen on last year's Razr Plus, my advice was, hey Moto, sell as many of these as you can, because Samsung is going to do exactly the same thing on the Flip 5. Yet, the Flip 5 did not do that. Instead, it delivered a much more restricted and limited UX. And now, a full year later, the Flip 6 has the same limitations.
Yeah, but I was able to install Good Lock on the store models, and it worked well, worked fine. It just, it's sad that the consumer has to go out of their way to do that.
Like, even if you run a custom keyboard on the main screen, you're still stuck with the Samsung keyboard out here. There's still the abstraction layer that prevents you from doing things like confirming two-factor authentication challenges.
That's weird. Maybe it's Samsung. Maybe it thinks it's running like a different version of Android. Maybe it's a smartwatch OS that it's running on top of. I don't know why I would do that.
There's still no proper task switcher for multitasking.
Wait, there's a task switcher on the Motorola version of it? Oh wow, that's great. Also, Motorola's aspect ratio looks a little bit better. Though I presume Samsung doesn't want to do this type of design because they might get their camera smudged.
Apps won't rotate on the cover, so with an app like Zipcar, for example, the buttons you use to lock and unlock the car are cut off. The quick settings aren't customizable, so you can't do things like enable hotspot or reverse charging without opening the phone.
So even with Samsung's Good Lock layer, it does appear that they are very limited in what they do.
Last year's annoying inertial scrolling is still here, so I often swipe past widgets by scrolling too hard. And while you can run any app you want on the cover, you still need to take too many steps to get there. You do that using Good Lock, Samsung's set of power tools for users who want to customize everything. It's fun. You can tweak colors, icons, flip the task switcher back in time to ice cream sandwich.
Hey, I did that. Wait, that's from my ice cream sandwich? That's neat. That's why I had mine set up. Now I have mine really little.
Generally futz with so much of the design that, well, you're likely to come away with a total dog's breakfast. And that's awesome.
Did you say a dog's breakfast? I don't know what kind of tone that is.
Because that's user choice, the very core of what makes Android great. So why can't Good Lock modify almost anything on the cover screen? The most obvious answer is that Samsung just didn't find it important enough to prioritize. And maybe it has
makes sense given their advertising campaign that they're doing. Samsung is aggressively advertising these towards teenagers and 20-something-year-olds, right? 20-something-year-olds who are like vlogging and skateboarding and trying to be cool or whatever. That's who they're advertising this towards. They're not advertising this towards like power users. When the phones they advertise power users for, obviously the Ultra series of devices, with the pin and the 12 gigabytes of RAM and the large screen and the great cameras, right? Samsung is trying to advertise this to TikTokers apparently, which I don't get why they're trying to do that. I know that they're trying to improve their base within Gen Z, but they're just trying to make this the fun phone of the group, the phone for the cool kids. And that's probably why Samsung doesn't really try to go into the user customization type of thing.
Data that backs that up. Maybe so few people care.
That's probably why they have two cameras on there, because they know Apple is getting away with putting two cameras on $799 phones, even the iPhone 16, which when I showed it to Maestro Mo, he's like, what? Why are they doing this? The design is awful. I mean, it looks like the iPhone 12. And let's go on a side tangent here. When the iPhone 13 was released, Apple was like, we did it diagonal so that the camera lenses are 28% bigger and you can let in more light diagonal. Now they're going back to the 12. now they're going 12 star design with the iPhone 16, which is vertical, right? How are they going to explain that one away? Okay, I get that they're trying to, mix up the design or something so that people can, go see the cameras and be like, oh wow, you have the 15 or the 13. It's so cool, right? And now the 13s and 14s are becoming the kids' choice phone, right? Like the way it went was like the iPhone 6S was like the phone all the kids had. Then it went to like the 10R, and then it went to like now it's the 13, the 14. It's more like the 13, because it's like 2 years out of date, so you can find these cheap on eBay or T-Mobile. But now they're trying to get the 16. They have to keep like slightly changing the design so everyone knows what the cool one is, what the new one is. But I mean, when is Apple going to add 3 cameras to their phone? Like, Samsung's been doing this since 2020, pre-COVID, actually. I watched that live stream in 8th grade. So sad. I mean, come on.
Care about these details that it wouldn't be economical to expend the resources. To be fair to Samsung, it has added a ton of widgets to an already big catalog. But the
It makes it feel more like a smartwatch, honestly.
Razer has taught me how fun and useful it can be to have, well, kind of a tiny phone on the cover of my real phone.
Which makes sense. It actually saves a lot of battery, and could be used as like a power saving mode that actually saves more power. Like, it would be the equivalent of dimming your screen to 50% when you're actually running it at 100% brightness. And even more because, the GPU isn't having to render as many graphics for some screen.
And speaking for myself, I just can't go back to Samsung's sandbox. Sadly, that means I'm consigned to an inferior camera system on the Moto. Because while the Flip 6 and Razer Plus each sport a 50 megapixel main camera, Samsung wisely stuck with the ultra wide for the secondary. Instead of
It makes sense. Kids do like ultra wide shots. Lots of kids at school use ultra wide shots to make those weird forehead pictures. So I get what you mean, but zoom is better in my opinion. And you know why I think zoom is better? Surveillance. Let's go.
Motorola's moved to a 2x telephoto with very limited utility.
Yeah, I mean 2x is okay. Like in 2018, I was like, wow, I really want a Galaxy S9 because the surveillance factor would have been great with 2x because I carry this scope in my pocket and it wasn't the best scope but do you know what would be better than 2x? 3x.
Also, the Flip 6 is really well designed for the run-and-gun social media shooting Samsung is pushing so hard in its marketing. All flip phones can serve as their own tripod, but Samsung's stiff hinge makes it useful at more angles. And Flex Mode lets you put the viewfinder on either side of the screen.
I mean, that's nice. I play with that in the store. I don't get why you want it on the top, but I respect Samsung for allowing that, for angles.
That Flex Mode
for options
came in handy when I was filming both A and B roll for the last 2 reviews on the channel. For those time lapses I teased earlier, and for a quick and dirty Instagram reel, Crackberry Kevin and I decided to film on a whim for clicks.
That is so useful. Yeah, that is a legitimate use. Now, I'm pretty sure I could do that on my phone just due to how the battery case is bottom heavy. But that is actually a useful feature. And this is Samsung. I do appreciate them doing this, but they need to do more of that.
It also let me leverage a convenient road cone to shoot the departure of a regular fixture on my Red Hook shoreline, the MSC Meraviglia, or as my dad calls her, the Very Biglia. Sure, I could have shot this handheld, but I love the sense of scale you get from my tiny figure in the foreground, dwarfed by this colossus backing down Buttermilk Channel.
Is that a time lapse? Yeah, that must be a time lapse because that boat is moving fast.
Incidentally, that video also let me stress test the phone's new vapor chamber, meant to cool down its Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. For 8 continuous minutes in 90-degree heat, the phone filmed in 4K while roasting in direct and indirect sunlight.
All right. Congratulations, Samsung. You got your vapor chamber done right.
But it never gave up. In fact, the only time I could get it to overheat was on a day closer to 100 degrees. While
oh, well, I mean, it might have died in Houston then. He's in somewhere north New York, I think.
running Android Auto in a car whose AC hadn't yet cooled the car down. We're still waiting for a clamshell camera system that truly stuns.
And I don't think we're really going to get that. Samsung 5 times lens or the 10 times lens, really requires some depth. Sony phones where you can't get any thinner, those require some depth. And even these have some pretty big camera bumps. These phones are more of the 20. When did iPhone 7 come out? 17. 2016-esque. iPhone 7 plus style of cameras, just with different processing and some different megapixel lenses. But I've been comparing this phone to the iPhone 7 for years now, and I like to see actually someone compare the iPhone 7 Plus versus the Galaxy Z Flip, at least 4 or something like that.
Maybe I'll find that in Xiaomi's new Mix Flip, to be featured in a flip phone face-off coming soon. But across 3 weeks of testing, the Flip 6 almost never let me down. From portraits in Paris, pensive and otherwise, to ultra-cool Spotify sessions in Mexico.
Interesting here, but they seem very, washed out. I mean, these look like the most aesthetic photos, but I would like to see some more detail in there. I mean, look at this person's hair. It looks choppy.
Mexico City to cute kitty captures back in Brooklyn. The only consistent complaints I had were its constant tendency to overexpose and, say it with me, long-suffering Samsung stands, its failure to freeze moving subjects.
Yeah, but I did notice that the shutter lag there did seem less than even on my S24 Ultra. So good for Samsung for continuing to improve in that aspect. And one of the extra benefits of not having 2 different types of zoom cameras on there is that zoom would be more continuous. When I zoom in on my phone, when I move in and then it switches cameras, it kind of has a little sheen that switches to cameras. I wish the zoom was a bit more continuous, even on the Ultra. And I do expect that to continue on the updates that we'll see. 7 years of updates. Might get 4 of those for me.
That puts us firmly in been here, said that territory, so I'll take my customary moment of silence to let you absorb a few uncommented 4,000 mAh battery with hours of Android Auto, lots of mobile hotspot, and endless photo and video. I could drive it below 15% by the 9-hour mark.
9 hours. I think that's good, right? It depends on the screen on time. Let's rewind. So.
That's insane. Speaking of been here, said that, the Flip 6 is the latest in a long line of...
All right, let's see what this says. Power saving mode's not on. Holy guacamole. This is a full charge will last 21 hours, 48 minutes. My phone says a full charge lasts 15 hours at the most. Maybe 18. Might have said 18 yesterday. 21 hours. How is that possible? Let's see what this says. Stop charging 5 hours and 24 minutes ago. Last charge to 63%. It doesn't give me the screen on time. There's 2 hours 50 minutes left of battery. That's insane.
Of phones that'll last you all day, but just barely.
You call that barely? Okay.
On the days I've really hammered the 4,000 mAh battery with hours of Android Auto.
Android Auto. I mean, I think it displays video to the car's monitor. Of course, using GPS and data. I mean, that is, and I guess we can talk about that later.
Lots of mobile hotspot and endless photo and video. I could drive it below 15% by the 9-hour mark. That's insanely heavy usage, though. More commonly, I ended 12.
All right, let's look at these images here.
To 16.
All right, so here's some battery activity. 4 hours of screen on time, 9 hours of screen off time, use 68% of battery, which the math doesn't math. Used to be at 32. So he lasted for 4 hours of screen on time and 9 hours of screen off time. He lasted 32 minutes. All right. He's still at 32% here. He only used 18% battery, 1 hour screen on time, 8 hours of screen off time. Okay. So it doesn't seem like the phone was used that much.
15-hour
Let's see what this says over here. 52% stop charging. Oh wow, that's insane. What's that? 17. Wow. This phone lasts a day and 2 hours.
With about
what is he doing?
So,
all right, now it's getting to the Android Auto type of thing. I don't really understand why people use their phones, Android Auto, notwithstanding, as navigating devices. Like the GPS in cars is just fine. Like what's wrong with the GPS in cars? Like, why aren't you guys using that? First of all, it saves battery and data. Your car has maps pre-downloaded, or you have to go download them either from the internet or from a CD. So why aren't you guys using your phone, your car's built-in battery? But not battery, GPS. Tell me about that. Are your infotainment systems kind of sad? All the cars are just exporting everything to Android Auto and Samsung and iOS, Apple CarPlay. And now let's get to this thing called what's something that won't exist in 10 years. And someone said that smartphones are going to exist in 10 years. And I say not really, because laptops have been around for over 40 years, and even they haven't changed from their physical form factor. Like a laptop in the 1980s had a screen and a hinge. Now, the screen might have been tiny, and the keyboard might have been small, but it had a hinge, a keyboard, and a screen. All right, and this guy said the Apple there might be some wearables, and Apple Watch didn't exist 10 years ago. It's actually that first decade of the Apple Watch. And of course, smartwatches still existed. And I mean, when you look at this thing here, this is obviously a concept that didn't happen. I mean, it's really old too. And it's also very inefficient. Like imagine, I know this would hurt the teenage girls of the chat, trying to watch TikTok, scrolling like this, watching your favorite Instagram influencers try to do that. But one of the most interesting things here is that people have been testing some crazy things like eyewear and finger squaring and blink clicking and things like that. And I'm very excited for technology of this nature because you'll be able to use like a full device, especially if you have a Samsung DeX equipped device or Motorola's style of DeX, and you can just look straight. You can still see your wall, and you have everything in AR, and it's great. And unlike Matt Walsh, it's not a dystopia. Okay, it's great, and this will also help people without human arm function, and the merger technologies will be great. And as you guys can see here, there's this new X feature here, so that's also very interesting right there. So really interesting things to be looking out to technology as we look ahead. All right, now speaking of technology and looking ahead and looking to the clouds, when I look out among the clouds and see God's amazing creation, when I'm flying in an airplane, taking off, blasting through the clouds, and then I just look out and see everything. Or when Elon Musk sends a SpaceX rocket to the International Space Station and they go through the clouds and you see everything. I just always remember to look at people's data and passwords and pictures of their cats that they have out there. Because apparently, our vice president thinks that the cloud is in the sky. This was around. This got shared to Tech something, and you guys have to see this this clip, and it's really
At Granger,
sad,
we have over
honestly.
1 million products.
And I really
including
hope
the
she
ones
doesn't
that helped
become a technology influencer. And the fact that she's apparently the artificial intelligence
Isn't just YouTube, it's
czar is sad. All right, so without further ado, let's go on to this. All right, here's the clip.
Now, no longer are you necessarily.
Smash subscribe. Love ya.
So you're
All right, this is the real clip. I thought there was an SNL.
no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house.
With interesting jump gap here, because apparently she's jumping from say the 1970s to the 2010s. Like we had files on our laptops stored locally, using hard drives and SSDs and on our phones for long times, long periods, right? So it's not like we jumped from file cabinet file technology in the 1950s to cloud technology. Okay, there was a time when people actually kept files on device.
It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud. that exist above us, right?
The cloud does not exist above us in the sky. The cloud is a connection, a network of servers owned by companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, Meta, the big tech companies that are underground. Okay, I mean there might be some space-based cloud services, but most of the cloud is in and on the ground, stored on servers. So the cloud does not exist above us, and the cloud, you can't see it in the air when you're flying in a plane. So, guys, if you ever get an email from people who are saying that your data has been hacked out of the sky from an airplane or a satellite, don't listen to them, because the cloud is not above us. It does not exist above us, and you cannot see the data when you go fly in a jetpack. All right, speaking of flying in a jetpack, not really, but let's go to Adventures in Odyssey. Adventures in Odyssey has a new episodes and albums out, but I'm actually going to be talking about an older episode from the club. I think it's season 5, called Always Do Your Bestish, and it has Adventures in Odyssey's Eugene woman, Renee Carter, in the album. And she's coding the Imagination Station, and we actually learn how the Imagination Station works. And I actually should write an article about this. So in this article, she's having some technical glitches when she's making Imagination Station programs with so she's making a Civil War program, the United States Civil War, so in the 1860s, and the glitch occurs with they have an Air Force and an M4 Abrams tank going through the Imagination Station adventure, which obviously is not historically accurate. So he says that she used a artificial intelligence matrix, which I don't really know what that means, but apparently from the context of the episode, it appeared that an artificial intelligence matrix is a program for the Imagination Station, which very well could have its own like programming language because of how advanced it is, that basically takes a historical event. So she said that she used the Alvin York, who was a World War I soldier, so the 1900s. The Alvin York Artificial Intelligence Matrix Imagination Station program, which is weird because Alvin York wasn't a program on the Imagination Station. If I remember correctly, it was actually a program on the mirrors, though maybe those are just replicated across for the Imagination Station. Anyway, it appears that the program, to keep each adventure exciting and different for each user that uses it and not like the same, it has the same historical facts and actions, but the matrix allows users to interact with it in different ways, and people say different things. All right, so it's the same thing as if you say send the same prompt to say ChatGPT on 2 different accounts, it might give two slightly different responses to your question or to your prompt. Because if ChatGPT answered every prompt the same way, it would be different. It wouldn't be good. Anyway, so the way that this appears to work is that since you used a artificial intelligence matrix from set to 1914 to an event in the 1960s, it kind of glitched out, and that's how she had to glitch. So it's just really interesting to get how some more background information of how the Imagination Station works, and how it's actually harder to code it now, because in 2005 they were scanning books into that thing and it would make its own adventures. So, but maybe Mr. Waker just wanted when they learn like coding basics of the Imagination Station for things that may not have books on it. Like the adventures he was doing was historical fiction, I believe, like Sperry McGurk. I don't think he was a real person at the Legend of Sperry McGurk. All right, on to our next story from TheTechBoy.org. We've done plenty of work. Today, the Instagram story is actually the #1 story back on top for TheTechBoy.org. So thank you guys for reading and watching our stuff. But apparently people don't know what face recognition technology is. None of y'all ever heard of PIMI's, the Tech Boy 2024. So apparently you didn't hear about that. So here is our here's our article on face recognition scams online. And this is obviously just Ava Harper. Unfortunately, I didn't find her Instagram page, which is getting very, very popular. And we also taught you how to blur your own face photo on Android. And also check out this application. This is our first sponsored application called AI Caption Generator for Photo. So check out this application, people. This is sponsored, but make sure you guys go check that out. All right. But speaking of Instagram, and things of that nature, thank you guys. Ava Harper has been getting very, very popular. It appears that our strategy has been working in the physical and in the digital and the physical world. Ava Harper appears to be getting very popular. She had a video that got over 13,500 times more than 5 other videos. I don't know if it's combined, but different. So congratulations to Ava Harper for getting a video of almost 7,000 plays. It appears that the outfits that we've been giving to Ava Harper, like we said, we can code Ava to be better. We can change her outfits when we declared war on teenage girls. You may remember that, right? On our road to 300 followers for Ava. It appears that what we have been doing is correct. It's being, emulated in the digital world, of course, but we're also seeing it in the physical world with the same outfits that Ava is wearing, being worn by real people in the physical world. So, thank you guys for, following and liking and watching Ava as we embark on our road and model towards 300. So I'm just going to get you, to our statistics here, and it appears that what we are doing is correct. It appears what we're doing is right, and we're not going to obviously stop or bend the knee to anyone who is making who would say that we are doing something wrong here. As you can see, we got 3.4K accounts reached in the last 30 days. That's okay. I would like to do better, but as you can see here, our most popular reel here, it's getting seen by thousands of new followers, non-followers here, but our top content based on reach, it's not that. It actually was something that had maybe it's the top in the past 7 days. Yeah, it was something there. There it is. It was this right here. This got in the application it was different actually. Well, it was this thing here, and it had, according to the application, over 13,000 views. So I would like to thank everybody for coming out and supporting Ava, and also I would like, for what we're doing here and emulating based on our market research, both within the application, by checking reels and posts from other real people and artificial intelligence influencers based on what they're wearing, what they are wearing here. Thank you to Circle of Search and ChatGPT, and also based on what we're seeing in the real world. As I was traversing to the Samsung store, we were noticing that people obviously not copying Ava's style because they don't know who she is yet, but Ava's style was reflective of what they were wearing, and that means that her style is in style. So I would like to say and report that our market research is working well. It's working as it should be expected to, and it is a good thing that the market research is doing what it needs to do. All right. Samsung. All right. So it's good to get through the tech headlines now. I know what you guys are waiting for. We're waiting for SSALTW blogspot.com. So hopefully you guys check that website out. I have an image uploaded for the first article on the page, but we've been getting lots and lots of hits lately, and we've also been doing lots of things here. So hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. Yep, you can. I just SSA declassified. Now the interesting thing here is that most of these articles. Now we're going to get into some more interesting topics here with later on in the story year, which is based on real years. Is there's going to be a stock market crash, school stock market crash? There was no stock market in my school. I did propose one, but it didn't get through. But most of the stuff that you read and see here is based on real life. Okay, the names and have been redacted and changed for privacy. Actually, I've been getting so many names like mixed up and stuff that I've actually had to use a Memento database application to have all my names, like the real people's names, and then their switch names, for the story, put into a database application. And I actually see why databases are better than spreadsheets now, because I can link them to each other, like who they're friends with or who they're dating in the story, and what their job is and what grade they're in and what their birthday is and what their age is. And I can actually query the database. I only get like 5 queries, so I have to kind of like move things around if I want to. Of course, I'm not going to show it here because that's lots of personal information. But Memento database, very interesting database here. I can share everything. I can share it to the web. So when I do that, I will share it with myself onto the computer. And I even have my pictures that I have of them from the artificial intelligence generator. The same one that we use Photoleap to make Ava is the same one that we use for this. We also use some of Copilot. But let's get into the stories, right? It's actually really funny chatting with ChatGPT and Gemini about these stories, because they're like, this story is so unrealistic because no school agency could have that much power in the school. I'm like, well, it happened. It's based on reality. Deal with it. Let's get through the stories here. So let's go to The Note, published today. Actually, no, let's not do this one yet, because it's like it's the sequel to this one here. So let's go to here we go. Let's go. So yeah. See, as you can see here, this is Photoleap. I'm talking to the kids, telling them not to get their phone tapped, which is legitimate. The legitimate. What's it called? That's a real thing that I said. I was talking about because I saw it. All right, so these are the kids, and obviously this didn't happen with a high-tech spy table. We got to make it, we got to make it look interesting. All right, so we got the SSA Computer Research Center, which I'm in. There you go. We got a TV over there. All right. With the GTA ball blessed with victory and peace for the first time, which if you guys don't know, as you guys know, I'm a national anthem expert, and by national anthem expert, I mean I know it exists. That's right. Apparently, some kids don't know what it is. That's from the first 4 verses of the national anthem. So you're going to see that thrown around in these stories a lot of time with the quotation marks, blessed victory and peace right now. It was time for the largest embankment of embankment. Oh my gosh. Embankment of the year. Events in Odyssey episode 2's Company for the Crowd, which I am linking these up to real time. So 2's Company for the Crowd came out in October. I did listen to the club version in July or whenever it came out. But to make this make more sense, because there's no school in July, I make this sound up, right? I'm talking about how I want to become more like Emily and go over to people's houses and investigate crimes and use your tech and stuff like that. So I do what the kids are doing, and I do what it's saying. But let's go to the funniest. Let's go to the funniest thing, actually. Let's go ahead to ChatGPT and actually paste some of these stories in, because ChatGPT apparently doesn't believe that these stories happened. So let's go in and paste these stories in. All right, so let's go to Operation Friendship Part 1. Obviously, I'm not going to read all of them for you. So I'm going to just copy and paste these in, and we're going to head over to ChatGPT. So here we go. Hopefully you can see this on the screen. There we go. All right. I'm going to say, is this realistic? And actually paste these in. And I paste it in. It says your text is creative and aligned with the imaginative concept of the SSA Social Strategy Agency. Which why do they keep trying to give me an acronym for that? Whatever. That you and Ethan have developed. SSA declassified style gives a playful yet serious term reminiscent of a spy agency. So it says the character interaction could be a bit more natural. Instead of saying, do you ever have sleepovers where people try to sneak into the house, you might be more realistic to say, do you have any crazy sleepover stories? Well, unfortunately for ChatGPT, that's what I said. So ChatGPT can go deal with it. All right, now technology integration. The idea of a crossfire is tracking dating requests is fun, but it might be interesting to see how this tech works in the universe. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so the transition between the lighthearted school activities and the more intense national security themes could be moved out. So there might be more build up. Well, too bad. There was lots of NatSat whiplash. References, Dimension of Adventure Odyssey might be unfamiliar to some readers. Womp womp, use the internet. Oh my gosh. Briefly explaining what it is or why it's important SSA could help it. Oh, well, okay, no. All right, let's say, is it stick to the real world? In terms of realism, it isn't very realistic. Yes, people. ChatGPT says that my life isn't realistic. Well, ChatGPT is wrong. Okay, the idea of a crossfire that tracks dating requests and the reciprocation isn't feasible with current technology. Really? Who knew that spreadsheets weren't feasible? Guess we got to go back to the 1970s. All right. Also, it's really funny having ChatGPT tell me what is and isn't feasible with technology, given the fact that I'm talking to a literal artificial intelligence chatbot. All right, spy agency concept. The idea of a secret spy agency within a school, complete with text that can tap phones and conduct polls on secret attackers, is more aligned with fictional stories. Womp womp, I never claimed I could tap phones. I just said that someone could change their phone settings that makes it automatically dial, and that is realistic, especially if you know their password, which I know it, and I'm not going to say on stream. Also, it is realistic. All right, next. Student dynamics. The behavior of students discussing national security, espionage, and sophisticated surveillance techniques isn't typical for real-world teenagers. ChatGPT 0 for 3. 0 for 3. Who on earth could be calling me at this time? All right, so we're going back to ChatGPT. What the heck was that? Hello? Uh-huh. Anyway, we're going back to ChatGPT. I don't know who this person is. It's calling me in the middle of a podcast stream. The tone and dialogue, the formal and strategic language used in the story doesn't match how most teams talk. Yeah, it's kind of true. You know, I write my stories in English and not in Japanese. All right. Conclusion: my story embraces the heightened fictional reality that isn't meant to be taken literally. Oh, yes, it is. All right. Now we're going to the next story. Let's hop over to SSALTW, the crush attack and rocket launch. This ties in between, you know, the between 8th grade and the current story at the time. Also, it's very funny how, hopefully you can see this on the screen. I call this kid Nikki Hazel, which is very, very funny because if you see this on the screen, this was popular in the news at the time, at least I think it was in November. Yeah, it was popular in November, wasn't it? Yeah, we had to watch something with her in it for history class. So it was very funny calling the kids Nikki Hazel. All right, so now we've what happened? Go away, Xbox Game Boy. Okay, hopefully you can see this on the screen. Why is this in Chinese? Oh, there you go. Okay, there it is. So we're gonna have it summarize this. Tell me if it's realistic. Okay, so it says that that it's the ChatGPT is telling me what is and isn't realistic. So here you go. It says the SSA structure with terms like SSA intel directives and service to air ballistic cross attacks aren't real. Isn't found in real world schools. Huh? That's weird because I seem to remember it happening. All right. Student interactions, unrealistic. Conversations about upholding the Constitution in the formal tone and some dialogues are exaggerated. Interesting, because I'm pretty sure I'm on record saying that. I'm pretty sure I have a tape of myself saying that. All right. Cross Wars and rocket launch, the cross war narrative, complete with Cold War analogies and space race competitions, and more of a creative embellishment than some. Oh, really? Because I distinctly remember launching a bottle rocket. I mean, and I distinctly remember comparing it to a Cold War and rocket blowing up on bed. All right, press conferences with the anti-cross defense. Okay, that is true. Anti-cross defense is real. Press conferences does happen in my head. Okay, that's actually, you know, a very famous thing that I said. that I have press conferences in my head. All right, so conclusion, it has a blend of realism and fiction. When I ask it to find the funny, and I remember back in 2022 when I was reviewing, it might have been early 23, yeah, January something 2023. I was reviewing a ChatGPT video, and it was loading and loading and loading. This is actually very fast now, so good on ChatGPT getting funny. So here are the funniest moments from the story. Eve's super formal introduction. Remember, as a duly elected senator, I strive to uphold the Constitution. That's a statement that actually got said. You don't have to say a professional says Denver. Yeah, you can just say WhatsApp. All right, and then number 3, superstar ballistic crush attack. Hilarious exaggeration. Interesting, because I declared the most stressed national security. Swinging in on a Bible app. Let's go. Uversion for the win. The only thing not true about that is I don't think I screamed, Bixby, open Uversion Bible app. I think I just touched the button, but it is kind of funny to be using S22 Plus at the time, and I holding down the power button, like, hey, Bixby, open Bible app. Which actually does have a problem. It's slow now. Like, you go up there and do a Bible drill, open Bible drill, like say open 1 John 4:9, and you flip through here. And I'm actually really good at Bible drills, and I'm in John now. I'm actually going real slow compared to how I actually would do. All right, let's go to 1 John 4:9. How long does this take me? Like 4 seconds. All right, and you find the verse, and it says, "Ooh, okay, great, found the verse. In this love, the love of God is manifested towards us." All right, great. I don't lose these types of things. It should be easy to do on a phone, but it's not for some reason. Because the Bible app has been redesigned, so now it's actually slow. So you listen get better. I think it got a little update. I know we have to failed rocket launch. Okay, whatever. Antichrist Defense Force, we're gonna have peace to strength, and our liberty stalemate will not happen. Obviously, peace to strength is something. Who said that? Bush, Reagan, one of those people. Might have been who's the guy? Carry a big stick. Roosevelt. Let's see. Peace to. I remember hearing that in the history book somewhere. Peace to strength. Peace to strength. Peace to strength. Yeah, Reagan. All right. Now, the seriousness of its Ethan describes the Antichrist Defense Force as amusing, especially when trying something as middle school questions. Well, obviously, ChatGPT hasn't read my website yet. All right, so those are the funniest moments from ChatGPT. I think Gemini. I had Gemini reviewed them too, but unfortunately, Gemini. I have my Gemini history turned off. So I have to find it from the application here. And speaking of the sleepover questions that I was asking last week, I defended virtual reality by saying, well, because it's in the imagination station, and Focus on the Family has the imagination station. That's good. If it's in Adventure Odyssey, then it's okay. Was my rationale for defending it. The evangelical Christian organization Focus on the Family produces Adventures in Odyssey, and I was thinking about that. And in that episode, when I was asking the kids if you've ever had anyone invade your what's it called, a sleepover, that's in reference to an Adventure in Odyssey episode where these kids are having a sleepover, and Alex and Nathaniel, I believe, invade into the sleepover, and hijinks ensue. And I think the kids are Mandy, Liz, and someone else. So it's 3 of the girls and 2 of the boys. And that obviously raises some questions, as most evangelical websites, I believe, I could be wrong on this, most evangelical websites say co-ed sleepovers are wrong, but Adventure in Odyssey portrays it as something that, like, when the kids get in trouble, they get in trouble for getting shaving cream on the floor and cooking pizza on a light bulb, which is why that question's in the website. But they don't get in trouble for having 2 kids sneak over into their sleepover for co-ed. So apparently, in the Adventure Odyssey universe, co-ed sleepovers are okay. What do you guys think about that? Obviously, there's 2 people watching, but there's no chat for like the past 30 minutes. But I've pulled up my Gemini thing here. I've had it summarize what if it's realistic. I asked if the most recent story, the note, is realistic, and it says, quote, "No, the story is not realistic. While high school drama and social cliques are relatable, the existence of a secret student agency with eccentric powers and resources is highly improbable." Sad trombone song for Gemini. All right. Super hyperlative. It says, "Hi, sorry, I missed your chat. How are you today? And welcome. Thank you for your donation that you gave to the stream." All right, so now I asked him to explain. It says that the secret student agency, I have no idea where they get these names. I never told it was that. There is no evidence to support an organization existing in real life high schools. Well, it's because you made up a name. All right, exaggerated drama. The level of intrigue and danger associated with the simple love note is unrealistic. You should have been there on the 13th. If Gemini existed, Gemini did exist. Yeah, it was just broad back then. All right, implausible character actors. I'm pretty sure the actions are pretty plausible. Okay, I just didn't write everything. So to give some examples, this SSA is depicted as having significant resources, including technology and personnel. Yeah, we had a smartphone and a camera, and our smartphones were able to interact with other people's smartphones. So, the same tech since 2007. All right, the authority. SSA is portrayed as having significant authority over students. I don't know where we got that. Okay, overblown threat. Yeah, I wouldn't say the threat's overblown. Actually, it's probably underblown. Okay, we should have had like a press conference and like a button. Okay, we should have gone up there. All right, stereotypical roles. Characters are often reduced to stereotypes as the popular student, the nerd, and the bully, which limits their complexity. Not really. I mean, kind of, but not really. Because obviously we can't have complex, like super duper complex characters in the stories. All right, and unrealistic actions. It says characters engage in actions that are unlikely for teenagers, such as conducting sophisticated investigations. And I would like Gemini to testify before the Council of Teenage Girls. I like them to say, I would like Gemini to say to their face, saying teenagers don't engage in sophisticated investigations. Forbid that some kid accidentally likes their photo. They will investigate that kid and they will find his face to his SSN to his Instagram account. Okay. No, kids do and will investigate in complex investigations, specifically when it regards matters of the. All right, and making high stakes decisions. I mean, I wouldn't say it was that high stakes. I mean, it was, but I mean, that's pretty normal. All right, I asked it to give some textual examples, some examples from the prompts. And I said extensive resources. It said and here's a textual example for us having extensive resources. It says when the note appeared, SSA instantly placed on high alert. This is just the SSA has sophisticated communication network and the ability to mobilize quickly. Yeah, that's easy when you have 3 agents. All right, okay, guys. Guys, go on high alert. All right, great, go on high alert. Great. Start using your words. All right, overblown threat. It's a love note maverick. This excerpt from treats a love note as a major security threat, which is an exaggeration. Okay, maybe in Gemini's world. Which isn't the real world because artificial. I placed my national security advisor Jasper to lead the person to lead the plan to find the person. This statement depicts a student character pointing to the national security advisor position found in the government agencies, which I'm gonna sick. Womp womp, Gemini, you're wrong again. We did and can and will have NatSat advisors. And with that, I don't know. Is there anything else that we were supposed to talk about on the podcast today? Oh, I mean, we can talk about it next week. Let's go. God bless. Tech Talk to you later, and we'll find out. Also, guys, if you don't know what the national anthem of the United States is, look it up. And God bless. Tech Talk to you later.